So this is another concept which, which needs to be talked about. We have different scaffolds with us. We have the IOL scaffold. I talked about the epinuclear scaffold. Now I would like to talk about nuclear scaffold in zonulopathy. So now what is this nuclear scaffold? Well, nuclear scaffold is wherein we use the hard nuclear fragment to our advantage in providing a three-dimensional support to the capsular fornices. Where can we use it? We can use it wherein there's a generalized zonular weakness. Whenever there's a generalized zonular weakness, we should not, what we should do is we should chop them, leave them in situ, because these hard nuclear fragments, they provide a dimension, a three-dimensional support to the capsular bag and keeps it inflated. In subluxation less than 90 degrees, it acts as an additional indigenous support, which is anterior-posterior and horizontal, giving a three-dimensional support. So this indigenous support is three-dimensional. And in subluxations more than 90 degrees, you can use it in combination with other aids like capsular hooks, like CTRs, to our advantage. So I would like you to see this thing. You will find that the zonules are weak. So what I have changed the strategy. What I have done is I've used a pointed cystitome to my advantage. Now at this point of time, I have three options in my mind. First, as you told, we can do a bimanual rhexis, wherein this forceps provides counter traction. And the second is use the capsular hooks to our advantage by providing an anterior-posterior support, or continue with the rhexis. So I thought I would continue with the rhexis, and to my surprise, I found that the zonules seemed to be quite good in providing the support. So I thought I'll just move. The moment I started, I found, yes, there was an area of zonular dehiscence. So I stepped down my, my procedure, my fluidics, slowed down my phaco procedure, and did a direct chop. At this point, I thought I'll use a capsular hook, CTR, and continue emulsification. At times, you want to continue. And I found that the zonular counter traction test worked. So I again chopped it, and I thought, yes, I was able to. So I was happy that I was able to do it. But then, lo, it has happened again. So at this point of time, I decided that enough is enough, and I have to change gears again. I have to use a support. The support could be capsular hooks, CTR, and nuclear scaffold. Now, what is this nuclear scaffold? Now, let's rewind it, and you will find when these nuclear fragments were in the area of zonular dehiscence or zonular weakness, there was a three-dimensional support. So I thought at this point of time, what I'm going to use is I'm going to use a CTR to provide a horizontal support and use the nuclear fragments to my advantage to provide a three-dimensional support in the area of zonular dehiscence. So you will find, so at this point of time, I have decided to introduce a CTR. The bag is being inflated before I take it out. Now, the next question is, in which direction it has to be inserted, the CTR? Well, you have to realize there is one basic principle. If you are using a preloaded one, nothing like it. But if, like me, I like the other way around, I use a manual one. So my technique is, if the dehiscence is less, I go in the area from the area of zonular dehiscence. Had it been large, then I would gone in from the area of intact zonules farthest away from the area of zonular dehiscence. So that is the trick in using the CTR. So now with the bag inflated, I am, dialing it in gradually and gradually without putting, they say you put more stress when you are using, this technique. But if the bag is adequately inflated, you do not put stress on the zonules. So now I'm using a nuclear scaffold. You see how I have placed these nuclear fragments in the area of zonular dehiscence to give a three-dimensional support. Now you will realize that three-dimensional support here is provided by two things. First, the CTR, and second, these hard nuclear fragments, intrinsic hard nuclear fragments. Soft nuclear fragments would not have served the purpose, and I would have used capsular hooks by all means in cohesion with CTR. So this helped me in delaying that. Now the last nuclear piece, I'm just taking it out because at this point of time, the anterior posterior support would not have been there. So I'm using an IOL scaffold now. So I'll place the intraocular lens in the bag and position the loops, the haptics, in such a way that they are in this direction. So in the direction of zonular weakness. So again, we have created a situation. We have a double support. And now the emulsification was completed. So this is another video. Sorry. This is another video wherein you will find that the zonular dehiscence is profound. Capsular axis initiated farthest away, and the sizing is to center the lens, not the pupil. That is the another click. Capsular hooks coming into play, so they will act as artificial zonules, provide support to the bag, but you can find that the nucleus piece is there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these nuclear pieces to my advantage by repositioning them in the area of zonular weakness. How is this helping me? This is helping me in delaying the insertion of CTR. I remember they say use CTR, insert CTR as late as possible, but not later than when it should be implanted. So I'm using CTR, these hard nuclear fragments, to my advantage to take care of, to provide a three-dimensional support. So in this way, I'm able to continue with the emulsification safely. You will find how diligently I'm using the nuclear fragments to my advantage. So this is, now the CTR is coming later on in the later stage. And once the CTR is there, now I am using, what am I doing? I'm using the hook, placing it posteriorly so that the capsule doesn't come. And now the back fixation is being done. I think I would now ask Dr. Cyrus to